Happy New Year, I'm not changing shit, I'm gonna stay a little pussy ass bitch. Happy New Year, I'm not changing shit, I'm gonna stay a little pussy ass bitch. Happy New Year, I'm not changing shit, I'm gonna stay a little pussy ass bitch.
Hey, fun fans, it's We Enjoy. We're back after an extended break a little bit. I'm playing hurt. I'm under the weather. I got the heavy lids, Eric.
It's your turn.
It's my turn to feel like absolute crap. You're going to have to do the heavy lifting here. We are the Mattitude, Eric. I'm Matt Fowler. Say hello, Eric Goldman.
Hi, everybody.
My cat has the sillies right now and is doing a little bit of wilding.
Sure.
Oh, she's gone crazy.
Okay.
Why now, cat? My cat doesn't really do a lot of sillies. Like she's just not known for that. It's not her gimmick.
Trying out new stuff. 2023.
She is off the rails. She is out of bounds, like Guy Fieri would say. But yeah, back after a lengthier vacation than I expected because weather canceled my trip back on Wednesday, and then I couldn't get a flight home till Friday, so stayed in Florida for an extra couple days. But had a great time at the old House of Mouse, and then also at Universal Orlando Resort. You know, these are all meager complaints by the absolute privilege, but like obviously you've been to Disney World way more than I, but so there's all these different hotels and resorts and all that stuff, and some are better than others, and obviously the better ones are higher priced, and the closer proximity you are to major parks, the more expensive they are. But man, I don't mind being far away where it's like you got to take the buses to get to the place and it takes a while. What I don't like are places where you can't just grab your bag and go to your room. Like the place where it's like you got to like get the bellhop to take you in a golf cart because you're in like a specific neighborhood like far off.
Yeah.
It's just not like it's not convenient to just like go to your room with your bags. Like you can't do it yourself. Because we were in Saratoga Springs, which is ginormous, and it just takes a long time to get to places.
I'm forgetting which hotel it was, but when we were at Universal a few months ago, Trish and I, our room turned out to be ludicrously far from the lobby, and they didn't really prep us. They were like kind of underplayed how far it would be, and it was such a far walk. We got there late. It's a whole long story that I'm not going to get into, but we were checking in at like midnight. So it's this huge, like multi-building walk to get there. And we were both not happy about it. And Trish was very not happy about it. And I said to her, I should go and see if we can switch rooms. And at first she said, no. And I was like, no, because I know right now it's midnight and we just want to lay down. But I also know that we're going to be here for 3 days. And if I don't bring this up now, we're not going to be happy. So I did go to the lobby and we did switch rooms to something closer. But it was like, no, this is because they're like, because they were like, well, you're right by Volcano Bay, which is their water park, which we were going to one day, but that's just one day of many days. And I was like, okay, so one day we'll be close to where we're going. Every other day, it's going to be this giant walk back to the lobby to get the shuttle. Was not worth it. Anyway, I agree.
Yeah. And then the other thing is like, it was a whole thing where we switched our days. So we went a little earlier. And we were in a different resort, and then we had to switch resorts. Anyway, our room wasn't ready in the regular resort we were staying at till like 7:30. And so we were in the park, and they didn't tell us that the bellhop closed at 11. Like you go back because you store your bags, and then we got there like 10 minutes to spare. But had we not run for the bus, we would have missed the chance to get our bags out of the place. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Again, these are all just flibbity flues from those from us theme park dorks, of which Eric is the much larger one. Let's see.
True.
We are doing Rocky in the main event today. If I can make it that far. Again, very scatterbrained, very listless right here. So I might catch the narco sleepies halfway through.
Okay.
So I am fighting my own underdog sports story right now, Eric. So like Rocky Balboa himself, we're doing the Rocky movies. Again, I kind of wish I was a little more clear-headed to give this movie an actual Best Picture winner. More of my intelligence, but I doubt I'll be able to do that. Is this our first Best Picture winner for the main event?
Bonnie and Clyde didn't win Best Picture, did it? So I think it might be. Yeah.
I mean, did Last of the Mohicans didn't win? Was it
No,
nominated?
no, that's what I'm saying. It's like I think Bonnie and Clyde was nominated,
Yeah.
but I don't think it won. Yeah.
Yeah, if we ever do the blockbuster horror of the 90s, Silence of the Lambs will obviously be another Best Picture winner.
Oh, Bonnie and Clyde did not get nominated for Best Picture, though got other Oscar nominations. So
yeah. So Sylvester Stallone's little movie that could.
it did get nominated. I'm lying. Just going back and forth.
Oh my God! Eric, good. Pick a fucking side.
But yes, Rocky won. Rocky won. Not in this movie, but.
So apologies for the lateness of this episode. We'll try to do better, but I couldn't help it just because of all the travel snafus.
Yep.
Okay. Some things happen while I was out gallivanting. One of which is absolutely terrible. It just got worse with every new bit of information, which is poor Jeremy Renner and getting absolutely run over and crushed by a multi-tonned snowplow. And then when someone showed me a picture of the tank treads on this thing, I felt ill. I felt so bad about this. And he's been crushed, and I think they said his leg was crushed, and I don't know. We don't know the absolute end game. I didn't mean to make a pun of what his prognosis will be and his recovery process and his physicality, but it doesn't sound great. And
it sounds troubling. I mean, I will say it sounded so worried, diresome as far as he's in critical but stable condition at first, that the fact that he's posted photos and video this week is better than at first it seemed like it might be. It was the fact that he's cognizant and able to, post things. I'm like, okay, physically, that's the question that we, do not have an answer for. Obviously glad that he is, survived this, but it's
I am prepared for a Christopher Reeve-esque sort of
you're going to an extreme
transformation. We don't know if he can walk again. We don't know all this stuff, but that's the only thing I can sort of liken it to as far as an actor we know plays a superhero and has a sort of a tragic accident that really alters their life and changes the course of their career and just physical well-being. So yeah, we'll see.
I hope it's not that extreme, and I feel like it's that extreme, but not terrible. But yeah, we'll find out. It's timing wise that I don't think he was filming anything, but because Mayor of Kingstown and his renovation show on Disney Plus were both about to premiere. He was about to do press for both of them.
It's season 2 of Kingstown, right?
Yes. So obviously, that's put in no one knows if they'll delay those shows or what they'll do. They obviously won't have their lead to promote them. But yeah,
is Kingstown the other Taylor Sheridan series that besides Yellowstone, but besides Tulsa King that
Yes, although again, there's another one with Zoe Saldana and Nicole Kidman coming. This guy is becoming 90% of Paramount. It's Paramount Plus is Star Trek shows and Taylor Sheridan shows.
Yeah, I mean, look, they honed in on a super.
I think it's going to be this: a third of their shows will be Star Trek, a third will be Taylor Sheridan Yellowstone universe shows, a third will be Taylor Sheridan other stuff. So that's what we're aiming at this moment.
Do you hear what's going on behind me? It's distracting me. My cat is on the other side of my bed doing something playing with something like a maniac.
No, I barely once in a while, and only if you're
just want to know what she's doing. I can't do it without getting up though and interrupting everything, even though I already have. Okay,
but yeah, obviously, best to Jeremy Renner. Hoping for the best with all this. I mean, I'm glad he made it through. Which sounds like something that some people
he got crushed by a fucking tank. It's insane. The poor guy. God. Yeah. Oh my God. I always feel, and then they there's this. A lot of the page 6 type reporting is out there with leaping on Jeremy Renner injury bandwagon with Jeremy Renner's previous wife and or baby mama or something pregnant again, that's news. Because she used to be, and they use his hospital photo with a picture of her.
Tabloids will always be tabloiding in their horrific way.
But yeah, all the best to Jeremy Renner, and I have Tulsa King on the brain because of Stallone. We're going to do in the main event today. I've heard good things about that. Have you heard good things about it?
I've heard some good things about it.
Because Terrence Winter is writing and show running that.
Oh yeah, because again, Taylor Sheridan has now become. I did read a big interesting article about him where it's he tends to write every script for his shows, but now he has too many shows.
He can't.
So
He can't. He was doing the Yellowstone for sure, but now he can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
In I guess smaller, less tragic news, Way of Water has met Eric's initial prediction of $1.5 billion. Do you think it can eke its way to 2? I don't know if it can.
A week ago, I said I don't know about 2. Now I'm thinking it's probably gonna. If it doesn't get there, it'll be so close. Like it'll be within 100 million. I know that's saying so funny to say so close.
And when people are calling $1.5 billion the break even point, what do you think they mean? Do you think just because of advertising, or do you think it's because the movie cost? Because if we're thinking the movie cost $500 million, this is still $1 billion profit minus the advertising. Right?
Yeah, because Cameron did a brand new interview where he's like, "Oh, in the next couple of days, it's going to break even. I guess they have to make 4 and 5 because that was the whole thing. Was like, would this movie make enough money to justify 4 and 5? 3 is already filmed. That they were going to complete 3 no matter what. But if they would turn that into the ending or not, now it looks like they'll go the distance with this. I don't know. It's like again, we've talked about this. It's like because they made 2 movies at the same time and a little bit of other ones that they shot, and all this technology and all this. So it's really hard to say. Like, what do they mean by this movie turns a profit? How much is that this movie singular? Or is this like, oh, now 2 and 3 are both paid for, and now 3 is pure profit? Well, minus marketing. I have no idea. That's it's a little complicated. It's certainly at a high level, but the fact that this movie cannot stop like a Terminator is amazing. Like just again, like last weekend, I was just like, well, we'll see about 2 billion, and now I'm feeling much more optimistic about that.
Well, it got my ducats twice, so
it defies gravity.
Yeah, it's still made enough now to become the highest grossing movie of movies released in 2022, beating Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yeah.
It was a phenomenon in its own right, but took a lot longer to get to that point. But
both movies worth mentioning though, did not have either Top Gun Maverick nor Avatar: Way of Water did not have a biggest opening weekend of the year, and so both movies is like a testament to movies that like play out over a longer period versus a giant Marvel or Jurassic Park movie where you're gonna get so much your box office opening weekend. Yeah.
Well, it's also because with the MCU, there's we're learned to like fear spoilers so much that everyone's got to go first weekend or you're gonna get ruined on things. And I don't think these movies people give a shit about. So I mean, in that regard, as far as
they're not as afraid. Yeah.
No one's out there leaking things like the way they do, like the MCU stuff. And then, not a surprise per se, which is that Wednesday, the second most watched English language series in Netflix history, has been renewed for a season 2. Why so soon? But wouldn't it have been funny, Eric, if they just canceled Wednesday?
I mean, I get it,
and it wouldn't have been completely. It wouldn't have been completely out of their MO, right?
What was 1899, which is not a Taylor Sheridan.
It's not one of the prequel series. Yeah,
was a show from the creator of Dark on Netflix. Became Netflix's first one and done cancellation of 2023. But right on the heels of that, they did renew Wednesday, which was obviously heavily expected. Again, because as much as they tout that everything is so viewed, everything is just billions of hours of viewership, sometimes you just feel when something's a legit hit, and Wednesday is one of those like, oh, this is like, yeah, this is a thing. Like, a lot of people are
thing?
Yeah. Hey, with thing. So no surprise. I am curious, Matt, the longer we get, the more I'm like, what's the deal with Cobra Kai? I'm guessing is still going to get renewed, but now that it's been on for 5 seasons, 3 of them on Netflix as an original series, there's probably longer negotiations with Sony at this point about the specifics of that. But I am curious why we have not had any. I saw one of the creators make a comment to someone, a fan, who said something about, oh, I met you in Atlanta when you were filming season 4. He's like, hope to see you in Atlanta later this year. Or so it's like he's being optimistic they'll be filming another season, but it did make me think
I'll
the
be
Wednesday renewal.
Very, very bummed if it does not return to close things out because of that quasi finale.
I think it will because of the Sony of it all, because there's there's a lot of reasons to think that they'll make it happen, make it work it out, and like Lucifer, similar situation as far as them acquiring a show that already was going, making another season after they might have wrapped it up. Yeah, I think it'll eventually happen.
I just don't have the once upon a time CW and Fox and shows that had like struggling cult sci-fi genre hits would give that shortened final season to appease people, and I don't feel like Netflix is that kind of business. So
no, they're not.
I wish they
not.
were. So yeah.
By the way, this is not on our official script, but you mentioned CW. I did want to throw in Steve guest star on the season of The Flash.
You were cutting up. So you said Stephen Amell is returning as Oliver Queen for the final Flash
for the Flash's final season, which has obviously already had some other guest stars. Because again, suddenly the Flash season 9 is the end of the entire Arrowverse, so I wondered if they'd be able to like this. And I was glad to see. And it was I actually had to correct someone on our work Slack, someone who's not part of the content team and probably doesn't follow things as much as us, because he did guess things didn't work out for him as much. And me and one other guy are like, he's the lead on another show right now. He's doing this out of like, thank you. Like he doesn't, not because he has to, not because he's like, I need work,
please.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, he can also go to fan conventions for the rest of his life and be
and make a fortune. But this is him doing it because it's like it made his career. So that's cool.
He could also just wrestle. Yeah.
Yes, he could also
just join to AEW.
I don't know if I'm going to watch the entire final season of The Flash, but I'm definitely going to watch the last few. He's in episode 9, which is a big guest star episode. David Ramsey will be Diggle in that episode. There's some other people I'm blanking on. That's the one with Kid Flash will be back. So I'll watch the last few episodes at least, because I watched years of that show until I didn't, and years of the Arrowverse until I didn't.
Yeah, I will not, because I still have too much to. My backlog's too big, Eric. Too big. Also, I haven't. Yeah,
I'm not going to catch up. I'm just going to watch 4 episodes.
Just watch all.
You
and your marathoning of the full Arrowverse in preparation for Oliver Queen's return.
I'm not going to do that. That I do not have time.
But I think I stopped watching the Arrowverse before you, so I'm even more clueless. We got a couple of horror trailers. One was silly. One was less so. The silly.
Maybe it'll surprise you.
Maybe Evil Dead Rise is super hilarious. Evil Dead Rise, a movie that was originally going to streaming, and they decided to pull it and put it in theaters, which I'm happy about.
Yep,
looks gross and awful and actually absolutely spectacular. So
awful in a disturbing way, not in a looks terrible way.
Yes, just like horrendous, but in a great way. All the bloody grossness that you would want from this series in an era because Megan is doing so well at the box office right now, the discussion of PG-13 horror has come back, and it's like PG-13 horror is absolutely a huge part of the horror scene. Movies don't have to be one thing. Evil Dead movies kind of do. It would be more curious if an Evil Dead movie came out and was PG-13 as far as I could say Army of Darkness. Was that R or PG-13?
It was R, but when you watch it, it's barely R. Like Army of Darkness could have been a PG-13, it feels like, with a couple of small cuts. It's funny. I've now seen 3 different versions of the Evil Dead Rise trailer, because I watched the Red Band trailer on YouTube. Then I went to show Trish it, but I didn't realize I was showing her like the Australian version, which is very cut pretty differently.
Oh no.
Then I saw the non-Red Band version before night. They can't show the Red Band one. All 3 trailers are great. All 3 trailers are effective. All 3 trailers get a big reaction. It looks really cool. And I was talking to a couple people about this, about how, because some people, I think, maybe some people either forget or just didn't see or blank out on the 2013 Evil Dead movie, because some people are like, oh, I'm surprised they're playing it so straight. I said, well, 2013 did too, which was also very gory. And I really think it's the wise approach, because Evil Dead, the thing people will always associate with Evil Dead first and foremost is Bruce Campbell as Ash. And he is sort of irreplaceable as far as like, if he's not doing it, if you were to try to be like, this is the new Ash, not literally Ash Williams, but like the new goofy center of these movies, it's difficult. It would be a lot on that actor. It would be a lot to like get audiences on board. So I think it's been wise with both 2013 and this one to be like, no, we're not going to even try that. Instead, we're going to go in a totally different tonal direction and go nasty and gory, and like that's what we're going to lean into.
I mean, the 2013 one had, which is quite good, is also still in a cabin in the woods, and this is even going a step further by taking it out and putting it in an apartment building and sort of a more metropolitan area.
Evil Dead in the City.
Evil Dead in the City. Sorry, doing Baker Street. And then there's Renfield, which, man, Nicholas Hoult is so good. Obviously, both of us love The Menu, and we love The Great and all the other things he's done over the years as watching him grow up from a child actor. You know what role he'd absolutely kill as? He'd kill as the Hugh Grant character from About a Boy now, if they did an About a Boy movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it would come full circle for him, where if he could play that character, that'd be really cool. But yeah, so Renfield is about the famed literary character, sort of Weasley, brainwashed, sycophantic manservant of Dracula, Renfield, played by many different actors over the years. It was Tom Waits in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula.
Yep.
And here it's really focused on Renfield wanting out of this relationship. You know, he goes to a
contemporary
support group of like whether it's a toxic partner or boss or both or something like that, where he's complaining about feeling manipulated and controlled and not having a life of himself. And Awkwafina's in it, and it looks like a lot of fun. Oh, and he can fight. So yeah.
Looks like a lot of fun, and the trailer, like every joke didn't land for me, enough did. And then another one that I saw Megan with a great crowd, you know, Megan Mania sweeping the nation, just opened with 30 million. So I saw it with a great exuberant crowd the other night, and the Renfield trailer played great too. And the Brandon Scott Jones is the guy playing the leader of the support group. He is on a show. I still don't think you saw the couple episodes of Ghosts, which I think is I've recommended before. It's great. But his the part that makes me laugh the most in that trailer is his when Nicholas Hoult is like, and he will not grow to full power.
He's like, why do you phrase it like that?
Why do you phrase it like that? Yeah. That made me laugh a lot. And then of course, Cage, like the big reveal that Nicolas Cage going full Nicolas Cage as Dracula. I'm
more interested in the Nicholas Hoult aspect of it. I'm worried that the movie is leaning too much on like, do you know Nicolas Cage is now Dracula? And everyone's like, oh my God, he's going to be so kooky, you know?
Yeah.
I'm worried that's the crutch. Not that it's not a fun gimmick, but I'm more interested in the Hoult of it all.
Hoult of it all, which is a new sitcom he's going to do.
Both of them go into theaters, but yeah. Before we move on here, I didn't mention at the top during my talk of vacationing that yes, you brought it up on the podcast before, Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. Did we talk about it when you did it?
Yeah, I believe I talked about it when I first did it. Yeah.
Okay, it is absolutely phenomenal. It is great. We basically, because of we Lightning Lane paid to do it twice. And we're huge 80s music fans, so we're very happy that on our, you know, there's a rotating songs that you get. We got Tears for Fears and then Flock of Seagulls and our thing. So it was a lot of fun. It is so cool, and
it is.
You know, the hype is there, and you don't want it to sort of mess with your head and like give you you know, overexcite you or to like pump up your expectations too high. But like, I'm sitting there going like, okay, what's the big wow factor here? What is it? I'm like, this is cool. We just go backwards, and then then it hits you and you spin around. I'm like, that's what this is.
It's an omni coaster, Matt, not a roller coaster.
So fun. And it's just, man, the sensation, Eric, the sensation is absolutely euphoric. It's like a drug. No. It's like a drug.
It's very thrilling. I love that ride.
I almost made that my good thing to enjoy, but I realize that's hard for people to access. Just like, go to
that goes even further than me saying if you have a Blu-ray player, this is like if you can get to Orlando, the only place it is.
And then get on this ride, get in the virtual queue and or pay. You too can ride Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. But yeah, lots of fun. All right, let's dig into some of our write-ins over the past few days, which is Brad wrote in on our Gmail, which is weenjoypodcast@gmail.com. Hello to the Mattitude, Eric. This is Brad from Outback, Australia. Again, I wanted to ask you both about your experience with WWE since their move to Peacock. our WWE network recently made the migration to the Australian streaming service known as Binge, owned by Fox Australia. So far, we've got the following: 15 premium live events that came out of a random number generator, it seems. A handful
he's talking about catalog. Like, what's the catalog?
A handful of WWE original shows,
Yeah.
Raw and SmackDown, but only the past 2 years. No ECW or WCW content. I just wanted to see if Peacock was a similar experience at the beginning. It's been pretty jarring watching anything I've wanted and gone to next to nothing. Thanks to the podcast week by week. I always make sure to put it in my weekly schedule. Thank you, Brad, for doing that. Brad, I have to say I haven't done a full deep dive into WWE Network except for when it first landed on Peacock, and I knew it wasn't going to migrate with everything. But I haven't looked to see if they've added more. I've kind of really just watch it for pay-per-views at this point. And because I was also paying for Peacock, it feels like even more of a freebie. I'm not utilizing it the way I used to when it was new and fresh and a novelty and all that.
I will say, like Matt just mentioned, it was a dramatic drop of like all, going from everything to selected things, but it sounds like yours is worse, unfortunately. Yes. Ours was not as extreme or Extreme Rules. And glancing at it now, I'm like literally glancing at it now, there's a lot. I bet it doesn't match what everything WWE Network had on its own, but there is a lot. And like, there's main event episodes from the 80s, and there's, championship wrestling and primetime wrestling, and also, a lot of the home video stuff, documentaries. So I think it's a healthy amount right now, even though it probably is not quite the insane deep dive that you could have done.
The last thing I remember having on in the background were pre-Attitude Era, like the Next Generation Raws, like the early 90s to mid 90s Raws from the Manhattan Center. I would have those on in the background, and it was pretty cool. But it sounds like Brad doesn't even have those, so that sucks.
So I hopefully that changes for Binge versus Peacock as time goes on. We'll see. We're also waiting to see what the future of WWE holds as Vince McMahon makes a hostile return. Yeah, we don't have to get into that, except to say that after years of hearing that they're trying to be sold, now we know for sure they're trying to be sold. And we'll see where that ends up.
And it'll probably be a Saudi Arabian conglomerate that buys them.
Which will be awful, yeah.
So Michael writes in over on Patreon, and you can be a Patreon patron of ours, preferably at Hudson Hawk, so you can get all the bonus eps. And he writes in, Dear Enjoy Boys, Happy New Year and an early happy 2 years of We Enjoy. So glad to hear love for Run Lola Run last week. The soundtrack was on repeat for a significant chunk of my teens. Y'all talked about getting AI on the main event someday. What about doing an AI-themed block? I'd also nominate Ex Machina from that consideration. That is also a good movie. Yes, Michael. Finally, Matt, where can I find the explanation for knee lift? I read your wrap-up for years and never figured it out. Knee lift, Mike Salvia. Mike, I think in one of the early columns I wrote that the running knee lift, as the way it was usually done back in the 80s, was the worst move because it just looked like a running back slap. Like you'd run, and to get the noise, you would slap your opponent's back while lifting your knee. And so it didn't really look like the knee was making contact, but the hand on the back sure was. So I always thought it was sort of lame. Obviously, now they just fucking V-trigger their knee right into your face. So I don't know why I just put at the end. It was just to sign off because I was just barfing out random words usually in my columns, and that's why. Anyway, that's why Mike.
It became a thing. I'm sorry, who was the name of the person who wrote in about WWE Network?
Brad.
I guess I don't know if this will make you feel better or worse, Brad, but looking, I do see Peacock has it looks like they have every episode of Raw now going back to the early 90s and
He's just trying to rub salt in the wounds.
In the Outback hopefully wounds. It's his future. Hopefully it's his binge future, but
just we'll salt all over his Alice Springs chicken.
So there's a pretty damn good amount here, even if it's not everything.
Brad, in the States, we have a Australian themed steakhouse chain called Outback Steakhouse with dishes sometimes named after landmarks or Australian sayings or something like that. And one of them is the Alice Springs chicken, which I know Alice Springs is right sort of in the center of the country because I read a book when I took Australian history and literature in college. The topic of a book called Tracks about a woman who leads a camel train from Alice Springs to Perth, I believe. and it was once going to be a movie starring Julia Roberts way back in the day. Okay. I don't think I've actually tried the chicken though. All right, let's get into our good things to enjoy. What is yours this week, Eric?
Mine is a Party Down, which I know I'm sure we mentioned because we mentioned the news that it's coming back.
I saw you wrote this, and I literally was like, I had this with Chernobyl last time. I was like, did I recommend this? Is this a Hudson Hawk all over again? So I was looking. I was like, did you recommend Party Down?
I did. I definitely didn't recommend it.
Okay.
But I know we mentioned it because we mentioned the news of the revival. But I'm revisiting it right now. And the thing about Party Down is it debuted in 2009, only lasted for 2 10-episode seasons on Stars, and was like pitifully low viewed. Like its amount of viewers,
like most things on Stars that weren't Spartacus, I guess. But yeah,
exactly. And I'm curious. I wonder how many people have like caught up with it since. And I should mention I'm watching it on Hulu, but you could also watch it on Stars. But I also think it's also, at least the first season is on Prime here in the US. Anyway, revisiting it, I'm very happy to say it still holds up. And it's interesting, the creators of the show, Rob Thomas, creator of Veronica Mars, not the singer-songwriter. Rob Thomas co-created,
not the inventor of motion smoothing with Carlos Santana.
Right. With John Enbaum and Dan Etheridge, who I believe have worked on most of his shows with him, but also with the other co-creator is a guy named Paul Rudd, is one of the creators, and I believe he co-wrote the pilot episode of this. And it's, scenario about like, a party catering / entertaining group is, ripe for comedy, but also I think its format is interesting because you 100%, each episode is themed around and titled after a party that that they are catering. So like investors dinner or Sweet 16. But you only go there. Like each episode is 100% the party that they're at. We never go, not only do we not go home with them, we don't go to even to like their offices or anything. It's just like, this is we see this segment of it. And while there's serialized elements, like, a little potential love story and stuff, we're only seeing it as we check in at the parties. And it's a great cast with originally,
yes, name the people.
I will name the people. Adam Scott, Ken Marino, Lizzie Kaplan, Ryan Hansen, Martin Starr, Jane Lynch were the original leads of this show. And things had to start. The thing that also the Stars being in a weird state is that they didn't have any of these actors in what we call first position, which is to say, like, if they got another role, sorry, they can't do it if Party Down is filming, because that's what they're contractually obligated to. Stars, I guess, didn't even have the pull to do that. So they lost Jane Lynch after season 1 because of Glee. And then when it got canceled, it kind of had to end because Adam Scott is the lead of the show and he was going to leave for Parks and Rec. So even if they had tried to bring it back, it would have been like with a new lead, which would have been weird. Anyway, really funny show and lots of great guest stars. I'd forgotten about. First and foremost, if you were on Veronica Mars, you probably guest starred on Party Down.
Just like iZombie and like other Rob Thomas.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, even the leads, obviously Ryan Hansen was a lead on Veronica Mars, but I think like almost all the leads were on Veronica Mars at one point, except for Martin Starr, who would be in the movie after, or Lizzie Kaplan. They're the only two that weren't on it. I think I and Jane Lynch guest starred, and I know Ken Marino did, because he had a recurring role. It's great show with great guest stars. There's also people like, I forgot that Ken Jeong is in it a few months before both Hangover and Community, before he kind of have his breakout. I was watching an episode the other day, Matt, that was really funny because it was when they're doing a porn awards catering, and who guest stars as herself but Stormy Daniels, who everyone knows now. Anyway, really great show, really funny, really holds up. Has the some of the we talk about this all the time, but some cringe moments of Martin Starr using a certain homophobic word liberally, not in a positive way. He's supposed to be a douchebag and everyone kind of looks down on him, but that is amongst his vocabulary in a way they probably wouldn't do today so casually. But yeah, really funny, really great. I'm excited to see more it coming back. It's unfortunately Lizzie Kaplan won't be in the new season because she was doing Fleischman in Trouble for FX at the same time. I wonder if they got a cameo at least. Anyway, You can watch it, like I said, on Hulu, for sure in the US, and I think the season 1 is on Amazon. And if you have Stars, it's on Stars. So Party Down, it holds up. I still like it. It's funny.
My good thing to enjoy this week does not, to my shame, guest star cameo Stormy Daniels. And it can only be rented at this point. Just Watch says it's not actively streaming anywhere easy. Yeah. But with all the talk of Andor this past year, which wound up being a favorite show of yours and mine and many other people, as we compiled our year-end lookbacks, Tony Gilroy sort of came more to the forefront for the first time probably since this movie. And my pick is Michael Clayton, which is a favorite movie of mine, and Tony Gilroy's sort of big award-nominated movie, and one of George Clooney's best. Like he had, Clooney sort of had a big surge of hits and critical hits and or blockbusters, like at the end of the late 90s and through the aughts.
Right.
This was one of them. And not like this wasn't like a huge hit, but it was really well received, and it's really well written and performed. And it's strangely titled. It's just the title of the main character, kind of in a very 70s way.
That happens.
Yeah, like where you just name the movie after the person in it. George Clooney plays a fixer for a prestigious like New York law firm, and he is asked to look after sort of an esteemed lawyer who has sort of lost his mind and is making really erratic decisions. And this lawyer has been handling a very, very important class action lawsuit about sort of like agricultural products being toxic to people. And he's played by Tom Wilkinson, another fine actor. And it's sort of a conspiracy movie as far as like there's a murder, and George Clooney plays a flawed, sort of beaten down character who has to find a smidgen of redemption here again in a very sort of almost film noir, but also 1970s cinema type way. And it's just excellently performed. Tilda Swinton won an Oscar for this movie.
That's right.
And it also has got Sidney Pollack in it, the acclaimed director who would also act occasionally. And I really enjoy this film. It's one of Clooney's best. And yeah, Tony Gilroy, excellent screenwriter, great with the words, as we know from Andor, and he was at the top form here. So I recommend Michael Clayton.
I remember really liking it. I've only seen it once in the theater, but yes, obviously, with Andor, it came up a lot. Like Lon Harris, who I work with at Fandom, huge Michael Clayton fan, and would evoke it a lot when we were talking about Andor, doing videos about it. So I know it's it seems to have really only grown in reputation since, and getting a lot of new attention. Thanks.
Yeah, got nominated for Best Picture and Best Director and all that. And the only one when it got screenplay acting awards was Tilda Swinton. But yeah, it was the Belle of the Ball back in 2007. So all right, let's move on to the Belle of the Ball in 1976. Actual Best Picture winner, first ever in our main event today, with Rocky, a movie that did not, I would say, assume, invent the underdog sports tale, but man, did it popularize it. Like really did bring it to the forefront like never before.
It did, although again with with it doesn't win at the end, like which I think most underdog sports. I mean, because look, John G. Avildsen, the director of this, would of course go on to make The Karate Kid,
and we mentioned that when we did our full in-depth dive on the Karate Kid movies, which we totally did,
which we totally did
when we did our Karate Kid series,
which we did not do. One day maybe we'll do that. But yeah, it's funny that he would go on to do another acclaimed, beloved underdog story, except that one does end with winning, has most of these tend to.
Yeah, I mean, this one has a tin cup ending to bring up a movie that like happened way later.
Well, also this movie is immersed in it being it came out in 76, made in 75. This feels like a classic mid-70s, like gritty, people on the regular people movie that is not nearly as like dark and like grim as a lot of movies of this era, but has that vibe and feel. So the fact that
it's a little gritty, a little filthy, because cities just look like that. But this is in Philly, not in New York. But like same. Like we had doo-wop a cappella groups singing around trash fires too.
Right.
And everything was just dirty and graffitied. And I really like the way one of the things that this evokes of like movies of the 70s and early 80s, I guess it goes back into like cinema verite of the 60s, is the way that they have dialogue. Like it doesn't feel scripty. It feels like actual conversations. They talk over each other. It's not clean. It feels very, very conversational and very much no one's saying clever things. Like it just feels like these characters. These are all a bunch of dopes. This movie is about two goddamn dorks, Eric. Like this.
It is. I mean, again, look, as we go through, look, the main thing watching this movie again, which is a great movie that won Best Picture, is that in no way does this feel like part one of what is about to be a 9-part film franchise that will quickly, inevitably, just by the sequels existing, start to become something totally different, as it continues.
Kind of like Fast and the Furious, in a way.
No, it is like Fast and Furious, or like Friday the 13th. I was thinking about that, even though it always stays to boxing, so it doesn't go to space like those two other franchises. Tonally, and like the setting of the movie, it's still a pretty dramatic change from where it begins to where it goes.
We start off this movie. We should just mention at the top that this was a movie that Stallone wrote and very, very, very much wanted to star in and sort of fought to star in, and Henry Winkler helped him out.
Famously, because famously a lot of studios wanted to buy it, but not because he was going to know and get a big star. Yeah.
They wanted to get Robert Redford or whoever. And so this in its own right had its own underdog story. It was made for about $1 million. It cleaned up at the box office at the time, like probably one of the most profitable movies of all time.
I looked it up, adjusted for inflation, because it made $225 million. It'd be over $1 billion today.
Yeah,
this movie. Massive hit,
really huge hit, and I can see why for the time. Like I think there's a lot of really cool thematic things and cinematic things that happen here, and it's so much of it is rooted in the day-to-day life of Rocky Balboa, where the boxing match that he has, which takes over kind of the second half, or at least the last third of the movie, it's not even the focal point a lot of points of the movie. Like we have extended sequences of him with Adrian and him with Paulie and stuff.
Yeah.
That don't even, you would think there'd be a lot more, like the training montage at the end with the big scoring, Gotta Fly Now music is famous. But given this movie, you'd think there'd be a lot more of that. And there isn't. And because so much of it is really about this guy, this quote unquote bum, just trying to pick himself up and convince himself he can do it. Because when he's offered the shot, he even says no, which is a really cool moment where it's like he just refuses. Eric, would you rather be called a bum, a tomato, a coconut, a ham and egger, or a chicken ass?
A ham and egger.
That's a good choice, because that's what Bobby Heenan used to call people as a ham and egger.
That's what I go for.
It's
very rooted.
A lot of great 70s speak. I didn't hear one turkey, by the way, which I was very surprised by.
But yeah, like you said, it's so much about the lives of these people and like sort of their like, struggling lives. Yeah, with Paulie and Adrian, even in the second half, even as he's training, there's still a lot that's like these scenes that are out of a play of like, him having these, confrontations with Paulie, and Paulie being such a sad sack. And by the way, Paulie
is a lot. I don't know if that's what you were going to say. But,
no, Paulie is a lot, but also Burt Young was 36 when this movie came out.
Bullshit.
I know, because literally I thought, it seems like he's way too old to be Talia Shire's brother. Let me look it up. And she was like 30, like her character, but he was 36. I was like, what the hell?
That's some hard Philly living for that.
It's some hard. Crazy. It's not just that he's balding. It's like everything about his demeanor and his look is a much older guy.
Man. And then Talia Shire, turns out she's attractive without glasses. He takes off the glasses and he's like,
apparently, like all she needed was some Rocky sex to have improved vision because she doesn't have to wear glasses anymore.
I know. We'll talk about that, but like, there's the uncomfortable moment where she even says over and over again how uncomfortable she is. That like, the courtship scene, which is kind of like frightening. Obviously, if you look at it from Adrian's point of view, if like, let's just think of a world where Adrian is not into this guy at all.
Right. Or at least not ready to sleep with him or have anything physical happen.
Right. Yeah. But, or just doesn't like him at all. And all of a sudden she's forced to go on a date with this violent neighborhood idiot.
Right.
And like he has to go back to his house. And it's like this moron is just fixated on her every day and she can't do anything about it. And that's absolutely terrifying.
Yes.
So it's overall, there's a huge focus on their courtship and love story, even more so, if not equal to the fight itself. And given the way the movie ends, the very famous Adrian call out, like it's as important. Like that's almost the movie itself is him finding love and her finding love.
Yes.
I love the line that he wrote about how they fill gaps. They just have gaps and they fill each other's gaps and they just kind of overlap in that way because it's like, I don't get it. What do you see in her? Like, what do you guys have in common? And that was a perfect way of describing it. And
it was good. And especially because she is like a dork or a total loser, according to her brother. But it's like, they do things nice and casual as far as like, there's like a scene where like a pretty blonde is all like complimenting Rocky at the bar and he doesn't give a shit. It's like, he's all about Adrian. Like, it's like, that's the girl from him. I do want to mention though, because this movie is, especially with where the series will eventually go by the third and fourth one, such a smaller scale movie, such a more intimate movie, and such a more like, not trying to be sort of bombastic movie. It is notable, but I think important to both its success, but also the future of the franchise is the score, of course, but also just even the way that title reveal, the very beginning, the first time you hear the Rocky theme and the word Rocky, the word Rocky slowly coming by, that is so sort of epic. Everything after will not be at that level, but it does give you the idea that this is kind of its own way, like a fable about the little guy who went the distance, and I think kind of gave them a little bit of the ground to begin to make things go bigger as the series went on.
I also want to mention that when Rocky's in his apartment with his turtles and fish and his mattress that he uses to punch, that there's a song that plays. I don't know what it is. I could look it up, I guess, that became a big TikTok song. TikTok occasionally pulls from the past for seemingly random reasons.
Oh yeah, this is a surprise because I'm barely on TikTok, so you're surprising me. I know they'll pull from the past. I know songs will get new life because of TikTok, but this song from Rocky,
it's not the main song. It was just a song that was on the radio when he was in his apartment at the beginning. The movie starts with, for you, Eric, November 25th, 1975,
yes!
Philadelphia.
The date,
yes. Perfect. And then he's just sort of wrestling in a low budget. He's wrestling in the indies, Eric. He's sort of wrestling in a gymnasium, and everyone's calling him a bum. You fight like a bum,
and he's not fighting impressively until
he gets headbutt.
He gets headbutt, and then he gets super aggressive, and then he's impressively wails on Spider Rico.
And then we see his Italian stallion robe, and we see how little money he's making after they charge you for your corner man and your towel and your locker and all that. Yeah. And the people in the crowd just call you a bum for no reason. Like, why? What do they do? I don't understand. Like, do they even like what they're watching?
Like, they didn't have the internet.
You suck. I just want to yell, you suck at somebody.
Right, yeah.
And then, his trademark hat and leather jacket and his man of the people vibe as he walks around. Everyone's like, hey, and he's like, hey. And then his apartment, very, very New York apartment, sort of a
I want to mention before the apartment, you mentioned already the Corner Singers, because the leader of the Corner Singers is Frank Stallone Jr. to be.
Okay.
Frank Stallone Sr. is in this movie as well. Their father is a timekeeper, but Frank Stallone Jr., who we just usually call Frank Stallone, is but they purposely don't focus on him, Matt, I think, because he looks too much like his brother. Like, it would be too obvious that, that's Rocky's brother.
They do have a strong resemblance as siblings. And, but then we see the beginning of what would become the heart and core of this movie, which is he's practicing in what he's going to say to Adrian the next day. We don't know it yet, but he's working on a joke. He's working on his tight five because he's going to break her down. with comedy.
But he also has, and this will come up later, but like, the fact that he feels like disappointed in himself and a little bit of self-loathing because he looks at his own childhood photo and he seems so like serious and like stares at it kind of grimly. So the idea that we
don't get a lot of his story here. We just know that he started fighting young and he wanted to prove that he wasn't a bum. We don't know if his parents died young, if his father yelled at him, or why he felt that way, or what was up with his upbringing. We don't get that, which is fine.
And I was also, which is fine. I agree. And I was glad. It's funny because I was looking up everyone's ages, and they later on do say that Rocky, like Stallone, was 30. So it's like the idea that he's already past his prime as like what would be a young boxer. Like, that it's like this is not the age that someone would be starting out, and he's just been doing this nothing indie boxing now for a decade.
Well, yeah, and you can look at his acting career as mirroring that, right? Because he was still a nobody at this point, and it's like, what is the prime for an actor? Like,
right.
Then he goes to the pet shop and he's just bugging the shit out of Adrian and Gloria and being as obtusely sweet as possible while also not being bothersome. Like he's like, I'm not being bothersome, but being kind of a pest, I should say. But also he's a little too dumb to have awful intentions. He's always on the upright, except for the fact that he absolutely wanted to get Adrian back to his apartment on their first date that she didn't seem too psyched for in the first place, and it's Thanksgiving. Right. And like she was already like an emotional wreck because Paulie just screams and throws her turkey in the alleyway.
Fucking threw her turkey away.
He's a lot. Paulie is a handful.
He is. Like that he's awkward with her. He's saying cheesy jokes, which her coworker calls him out on. But we're quickly, it's like, what I really like right after this is we see like, how does he pay the rent? Well, he pays the rent by like working for some low level mobster, beating down guys for money. But then, we quickly learn that like he didn't break the guy's nose as he was told to. He took less money than he was supposed to get.
Break his thumb.
Break his thumb. And so the idea that it's like, this is, the guy that he's a heart of gold, that it's like, he's low rent guy doing shitty petty crime, but he's not a vicious guy. He can't be nasty. He can't like do the things that these criminals want him to do to fully embrace that life.
I will say that Mr. Gazzo, like his loan shark boss, is also not a horrible person.
He's a mensch.
Like he's given some money for a date. Like he gives him money for training and
$500 to train.
And at the end, he doesn't even like say, "Hey, what about my money? You're a success now." He goes and supports him in the crowd.
No,
he's like, "Go Rocky, go."
Rocky. Yeah, he's just like, "Yay, Rocky." The guy who's the asshole is the driver who's always,
and see, that's just a little interesting thing in this movie where again, like the conversation. Is there a plot reason why they just don't like each other? No. The guy's just a dick, and like even Mr. Gazzo is like, some people just hate people for no reason. And he uses the R word, but even I'll say this, as problematic as Rocky becomes during their date, he even knows that the R word is bad. He's like, I mean, obviously he's upset that he's insulting Adrian, but he's like, hey, you don't use that word. He even says that. So good for Rocky. And then we get a very quick glimpse of Mickey, played by Batman's own Burgess Meredith. Obviously, did more than Batman, but
it was funny. He got 2 Oscar nominations in his life. One was for this, but the other was just a year before this. So
what was the one before this?
God, I'm forgetting. It was for for 2 Academy Awards. Damn it. Yeah, keep talking and I'll figure that out in a second.
Okay. The
Day of the Locust. Day of the Locust was the year before this.
The Mickey character. Oh, I read that book during my LA fiction class. The Mickey character is interesting because he becomes a huge part of the third act, and you totally see his Oscar scene. Like the apartment scene is like, okay, it wasn't going to be from him yelling at him during training or just yelling at him in the gym. Like the going to him and sort of appealing to be his manager, really kind of hat in hand here, like kind of like eating a lot of crow, but trying to like be sort of a slick salesman about it too, because he's treated Rocky like shit for so long that it's a very interesting character. But yeah, calls him an ape, a tomato. He calls him a lot of stuff.
Says that he's got heart, but he fights like a goddamn baby. And tells him to retire. And tells him basically, yeah, you missed your shot.
But then and Rocky knows that, and also he even says to Adrian, I kind of do it as a hobby.
Right.
Like he even says, like, I just kind of do it now. Like, and I think he himself has, like, when he looked at that picture of himself as a kid, it was a hard sort of realization that it comes to him every so often that he didn't make it, but also he kind of knows that. And he knows that his job sucks, and he knows, but he also doesn't have, we're looking at a guy who maybe once had huge ambitions, but doesn't have them anymore.
No.
His ambition in this movie is Adrian.
Completely.
Like going out on a date with her. Like he wants to get to know her and make her his sweetheart. It is just absolutely kind of abominable about the way he goes about it. But he also wants her to like him in a certain way, because it's like he was worried, like he repeats it over and over. You sure she knows I'm coming to dinner, right? Like,
right.
He doesn't want to surprise her. He doesn't want to just show up at the house and stuff like that. So the title shot is just absolutely, like you would expect, a fluke that almost interrupts his plans to just have a nice life with Adrian.
right.
Like it kind of comes out of nowhere.
I mean, I guess it gets him out of the life of crime, so that's good.
Yeah, it is. Even though Mr. Gazzo is a mensch, right?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. When he goes to see Polly for the first time, we find out Polly is Adrian's brother. I do like how they kind of layer in. He walks by like the bar, and the TV set is mentioning Apollo Creed, and that's the first time Apollo Creed is mentioned. And so it's this kind of like layering in of Apollo Creed, who obviously will become very central by the end of this film, is just in the background. And that's when, we meet Polly, and he's just so despicable about it. Says she ain't sharp. She's a loser. She's pushing 30.
Yeah, he is. It's the company Rocky keeps. Like his loan shark people are actually kind of more on the up and up and stand up guys than Polly is, which is to say, like, even when we first meet Polly, we don't even see his face for a minute or so, because he's in the bathroom and we just kind of like see him from behind. So we don't even get like the full Polly.
Yeah.
But he really just wants to stop his job as a meat hauler or working for the meat place. And it's not clear necessarily whether or not, does he own the place, because he's really looking for advertising at the end, or does he work there?
I'm not sure clear about it.
I couldn't get a handle on it, because it seems
I feel like they'd have a better life if he owned it.
That's what I feel. I feel like it's actually not that bad, and maybe you would have workers to move the meat for you, or at least some other guy, so that your hands don't get all swollen and stuff like that. But if, like, I see no reason for Rocky to advertise Shamrock Meats if it's just it helps Polly's boss,
right.
It doesn't.
Maybe
it
it's
doesn't
just to
get
Polly some good points with the boss, I
don't know.
Silver Shamrock Meats.
What's that?
I said Silver Shamrock Meats.
Silver Shamrock Meats. Yes, all Conklin. What's his name?
Connell
Conklin. So on Thanksgiving, which Rocky doesn't understand that things will be closed down.
No, but we should mention something before that, though, is that whole thing of the big scene where the bartender and him watch Apollo on TV, which is it's a good scene too, because we talk about like people throwing around awful things around Rocky word-wise. So because the bartender sees,
is it he lets out a really bad racial epithet,
and says he's a clown. And the fact that Rocky's like, how can you call that man a clown? He's the champion of the world. He took his best shot. That Rocky has respect for Apollo that this other guy doesn't. As we're seeing, this, but then we also find out, and I had forgotten, because it's been a while since I watched the first Rocky. I had forgotten that, like, Rocky owes his whole career to Apollo, that because it's Apollo's idea that it's like we lost the guy who's supposed to fight.
He has so much reverence for the champ that when he says no, because he's like, I will sully this event. Like, I am not worthy of being in the ring with him. I will look bad. I will make him look bad, and it will just be a bad time for everyone. And so it's really interesting the way that he turns it down at first. Like, it has to be convinced to have a heavyweight shot. And I think that, we spent so much time with the Rocky character. It makes sense. Like anyone else that they chose from that list would have just said yes. And so because of who Rocky is, and because he doesn't think so much of himself and holds the championship in such high esteem. He's like, no, it's like royalty, right? Like you don't even look at the king. And then we've got Carl Weathers just being great. You know, obviously Apollo Creed has shades of Muhammad Ali and just sort of like a really, really great talker, great at the promo, whereas Rocky is bad on TV, bad at the promo. And
but first, let's talk about the Thanksgiving date a little more, because all we know by the time the Thanksgiving date, all we know is that Apollo's like, find me someone, like we're gonna find a nobody for me, and that'll be the whole deal. And then he wants it to be a white person, that he think that's like a whole thing that for the bicentennial super battle, because again, bicentennial 1976, that would be a big deal that they were heading into that.
It's funny because within that we don't get a lot of the Apollo Creed backstory or character here, but like except that he's a showman, he's great at branding and advertising and with the eventizing things and opportunities and promotion. But like the fact that like it's going to be a white guy, it's like you wonder like all the obstacles that he's had to overcome in his career as a black man in America, going to like, he's going to come to the ring as George Washington and Uncle Sam and all that stuff. And like, tout that Christopher Columbus, discovered America and all this stuff and waved the red, white, and blue. But like, you can understand that there's probably also a harboring resentment that he has, like that this is going to make him feel good in a certain way. Like,
well, and we get enough of because obviously Apollo's not centered in this movie, but it's like we get enough to obviously he's not taking this seriously, and that the fact that like there's a couple little moments that I think go a long way, which is that one is when Duke, who is not named in this movie, in later sequels will name him his trainer. I think he's just called Apollo's trainer in the closing credits, but Duke wants him to watch Rocky on the TV. Like, look at this guy training, and he won't even watch it. Like,
that's a great scene. When Duke's expression starts changing, like watching him punch that meat, where because they're doing it on the news, and I think it's like Diana Lewis in the meat house, or something like that.
And also at the end though, when he that it's a smart but quick moment of the commentators saying we've seen him in better shape before about Apollo, that it's like he's not training for this in any way, like this is a real deal thing.
And so in the final fight, when he has to be told after he gets knocked down, I think they said for the first time in his career, knocked off his feet, he's like, this guy doesn't know it's a show, he thinks it's a fight, so you're gonna have to fight. And it's funny because like Rocky doesn't know that all these things are about to work out in his favor, like behind the scenes, and that literally his name is going to be picked from a book because of the Italian stallion name he gave himself. He didn't even look at anything else except the name. And he's on this date, which is actually a pretty fun, charming date until the apartment scene, which I guess you could argue is there's some charm to it in its own right, but like it's also really oogie.
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to dismiss that. Like under our modern lens, it's all super creepy. I don't think at the time it came out, I think it was more seen.
It was not seen
because Rocky as a character, obviously at his epitome is like this like sweet, gentle guy. So it is funny that's I know that's always like the moment when people at revival screenings and all like but that it's like he wants to take you. He knows she likes ice skating, takes her ice skating. As we've said, Polly being piece of shit that he is, throwing her turkey out, which is very, and then but keeping the drumstick for himself.
Well, like he needs to eat, but like
he does offer Rocky some of that. Yes.
But the guy yelling out at minute by minute countdown of 10 minutes while they're walking around the ice, like the guy at the end of Speed 2, like 3 knots. Like
yeah, I don't know if I'd believe that ice skating rink was open earlier in the day on Thanksgiving Day, but I'll go with it. It's fine.
I don't know what business was like in the 70s with Thanksgiving. But
I don't know if the Philly ice skating scene was pretty popular and they'd have to stay open on Thanksgiving. So.
Also, I'm trying to think.
Also very charming.
This starts on the 25th, I guess. I don't know.
I looked it up. It's the 27th. This is 2 days later.
Okay, 2 days later. So the wound on his head that he was showing her, I was wondering how fresh it was from the headbutt.
I did, watching this movie again, I thought it's funny that they never explicitly celebrate Christmas, even though the brunt of this movie is obviously December because it's New Year's Day is going to be the match. So it's like he's training all of December. So Rocky could be a Christmas movie if they had embraced the
Right.
Christmas of it all more.
He's so much of a golden retriever. He's so dopey, where it's like he invites her to his place, but didn't never bother to clean it up. You know, didn't tidy up the couch, didn't do anything. Like he has no idea that this is not a great presentation at all. And you know, he also just talks to fill air, like he nervous talks. It's kind of this thing too, where he's literally showing her the turtle she got him, or like it sold to him at the pet shop. Mm-hmm. He's like, yeah, I know, Rocky. He's like, yeah, I know. You know, like, So there's a kid element to him. Like that's the way a kid acts, like just showing you things all around.
And also the date, you know, look, this is one of those movies that obviously is so famous and so iconic, and even if you haven't seen the movie, you've seen moments from it. One of the million visuals that it like gets included in montages, both in this series later, but just in montages of movies and romance, is like him like jogging along next to her ice skating. Like he doesn't put ice skates on because he doesn't know how to probably. And it's a very sweet, dopey thing as he's like, you know, jogging along on the ice.
It's really cool. And the fact that Stallone like wrote this movie in 3 days too is pretty cool. Like, you know, it just kind of flowed from him. Also, as we recap Rocky here, Way of Water has now made 1.7 billion and is now the 7th highest grossing film in history, just beat out Jurassic World. Okay,
everything's going fine. And then going Avatar. We should also mention that a nice little thing that they throw in this movie that I'm guessing is probably based on Stallone himself, but is like a runner almost, and helps explain, again, he's not going to win, but they want to make it credible that he could even go the distance, is him being a southpaw. And that's what Duke doesn't want him because he's a southpaw. And another thing that Apollo dismisses, and Rocky explaining to Adrian why people don't, because it messes with their timing. It's so, you know, it's rare.
I do wonder if his explanation, I haven't looked it up, of where southpaw comes from is correct. I need to look that up.
Yes.
So we've got, everything is actually going all right for Rocky, like Adrian wise. So his life is on the uptick, and then he gets the news, like as far as like he gets called into the office of the promoter. And even with the promoter, like look at Stallone's body language. You know, Stallone is never sort of given credit for being an actor, but he's stunning in this movie.
He got an Oscar nomination for this movie.
He won't look at it
as an actor. Yeah.
He won't. He like won't look up. He's so intimidated, and as if the promoter himself he isn't even the champ, but he still won't like make eye contact with him.
Mm-hmm. And he's great in that. And also this is right after we get one more confrontation with Mickey, where Mickey is talking, you know, more about how you had the talent to become a good fighter, but instead he became a leg breaker. So we kind of know that Mickey knows the whole deal about Rocky and is kind of pissed at him that he did have talent, which is important because, again, the very first time we saw Rocky fighting at the beginning, he didn't look that impressive. So it's important to kind of build up that, like, oh, this was a young guy with promise.
Talent that could be unearthed within 5 weeks' time.
By the way, my big thing watching this movie is I'd say 5 months be a little more credible than the 5 weeks, but, you know.
I'll say this, that the bookend element of his first jog with the triumphant jog at the end is so great.
Yeah, so yeah.
His first jog is so, like, he wakes up himself. He's got no support. No one's in his corner except, you know, helping him. He wakes up, he drinks down those eggs, which I think also got popularized by this movie, and goes out, and it's cold, and he's alone, and he's gassed by the time he gets to the famous steps.
He's like holding his side.
And like he just feels so alone looking out over Philadelphia. And then like the way the juxtaposition of that with how it is at the end when everyone's saying, hey, and like cheering him on. And he goes the distance and like goes up the steps and he raises his hands. It's just really great.
It's great. But then, like you said, when he's first offered the fight, he's like, it wasn't a good fight. And his first instinct is to turn it down. He does end up doing it. It's funny that, again, 2020 hindsight, if they knew this would be an ongoing long series where Apollo would be an important character, we'd probably see them meet for the first time. We don't. We just see the TV footage of the news conference.
That was really interesting. Like as far as like, this is a movie I have not seen since the 80s, back when I probably saw it on VHS. I'm sure I saw it on VHS, didn't see it in the theater. And also it was just kind of on
Yes.
TV and this, so it's been a good 35, 40 years since I've seen it.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. I haven't seen it recently.
I feel like I rewatched them all before the first Creed was the last time I rewatched all of them.
Before you rewatched the entire Arrowverse?
Yes.
In anticipation of Oliver Queen's return?
Yes.
Okay. It's really great the way that it is framed. Like, we don't get a lot of training. We don't get a lot of there's no big famous conversation scene between Rocky and Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of only meet in the ring for the first time, like for us, not in the news conference.
We see them in the press conference
where he's just making a goof out of Rocky and being Uncle Sam and like making a show out of it. He's got like a Cena WrestleMania type entrance.
Yes. I think the news conference, I could be wrong, it might have happened earlier in the movie, but the news conference is the first time I clocked him saying it. Rocky says, "Yo, Adrian," which will become famous, but also, like, to your point, because that's the most important thing to Rocky. So he's on this news conference that he's going to have a match, fight against the world champion, but he still wants to make sure to talk to Adrian. Like, that's his big thing in this moment.
So the biggest part of the second movie really is the confrontation and the resentment that kind of builds up between him and Paulie. Like, that's kind of what we focus on more than everything else. And then Mickey wanting to be his manager, but we don't get to see a lot of the management.
No.
Like, he agrees to it. Like, Rocky just kind of like puts up a huge fight and understandably has a lot of resentment towards Mickey, and then kind of acquiesce, at the end, and just kind of says, yeah.
But I gotta say, I think that's my favorite scene in the movie. Like you said, it's Burgess Meredith's.
Yes, it's a great scene. Yeah,
Oscar scene, but
oh no, you went away. Say that again. You went away.
Okay. I was saying how while that scene is obviously a huge scene for Burgess Meredith and solidified his Oscar nomination, it's another great scene for Stallone, as far as like him screaming about, never having had, the
it's
missing
like, you
his
had
prime.
a prime. I've never even had one. Yeah.
Yeah. The two of them are great. It's a really emotional scene. And it's unusual. It's funny because this came up recently when people were kind of when someone decided it was time 6 years later to still dunk on The Last Jedi, but also get facts wrong, and about like, Luke not wanting to train Rey, and then mentioning like Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi. What if he had been the same? And people pointing out, not only does he not want to train Daniel in the first one, but it's the huge plot of the third one is he won't train him.
Yeah, they did it in the saga itself.
Right. But my main thing here is like, oh, this is different because while he does want Mickey to train him at the beginning of this movie, it is very different that Mickey has to come to him, like you said, so sort of hat in hand, kind of have to beg him because Rocky is pissed at him at this point that he wouldn't train him, and have this big emotional scene between the two of them. And it's a great scene.
I think his hat may actually be in his hand.
I think it might be literally in his hand.
But the thing with Paulie kind of gets smoothed out. There's a big drunken argument scene, but then like Paulie's threatening him with the bat. Like he is a whole combo meal. This guy. He
is. Adrian, though, obviously the nice thing is Adrian.
But she stands up to him.
She stands up to him and basically says, like, you're acting like, you gave everything up for me, but I've been the one taking care of you because you're a piece of shit. That's my paraphrasing. But, pointing out that it is not as one-sided. Also, he's, of course, so awful with like...
Yeah, like, you're not a virgin, you're busted.
Yeah.
But she's like,
shut
I'm
up.
not a loser.
You're gross. Like, leave your sister alone.
It's like you're 36 years old and you look, you look
There's
not
funny,
great.
There's funny, you're not looking good. Funny, like you said, there's not a lot of training with Mickey, although I did laugh when he like yells at the teenage girls.
Yeah, he says, "Get your chicken asses out of here."
Yes,
and then he says, "Women weaken legs."
Right.
He wants him to quit seeing the pet shop boys, the pet shop girl, as he calls her.
We skipped this way earlier, but because I'm mentioning those girls who want autographs. There's that scene where Rocky gives advice to Marie. Teenage girl
again, it's just sort of like texturizes Rocky as wanting to do good for the neighborhood and like wanting to give it his own sort of homespunny advice, as antiquated as it might be.
Yes.
Like the old adage of like, if you swear, people are going to think you're a whore, and then you become a whore because people think you're a whore. And I'm like, okay. He means well. But it's even funnier because I think that what makes that scene work is, because if she was like, "Oh, geez, Rocky, you're right," like I would be like, "Oh, that's weird." But the fact that she's like, "Screw off," like and just keeps hanging with the quote unquote coconuts on the corner.
Yes,
it's great.
And this is of course around the time also that the Rocky training with the meat is introduced, which will become an iconic thing of the series. I highly advise everyone to do a quick Google search for Rocky the Meat toy or Rocky the Meat figure to see one of the most amazing toys ever made, which was when they were making an action figure line for Rocky, and they made as a separate thing you could buy the meat. It's just called the meat, man. For him to
I'd love to buy add-on meat.
Right.
The separate meat not included.
The meat accessory sold separately. Yes.
I feel like I also like when he's like, has anyone else boxed meat before? He's like, no, I think I invented it. Like,
yes. And it will become very famous, Rocky. Also, this is where we see the scene we mentioned before, where Duke's trying to get Apollo to watch him on the TV. And Apollo in that scene is like, be sure to fly my barber to Philly. So again, it's like there's enough Apollo to understand that he is a great fighter who is not prioritizing this the way he should, with these little moments with him.
The final fight, I have to say that what I really like about it, it's triumphant. It moves well. Like the music swells. It's all great. But like the fact that they even say earlier in the movie, like hit his body blows is the way to go. And like, so by the end of that fight, when he is hitting Apollo in the ribs, like you feel it. Like body blows aren't like the most cinematic fun things to watch in a big fight. Obviously you want to see a knockout, an uppercut, right? Mm-hmm. But like the fact that he's taking him out and breaking his ribs with these body blows is incredible.
Yes.
And it's just so well done, and I loved it.
Yeah,
everything about that final fight just works really well, from Adrian slowly kind of moving round by round, moving out of the locker room and to watch it and seeing it happen. And I know they address it in a later movie, one I haven't seen, but the ability of Rocky to take punishment is concerning. Like one of the biggest things is that he won't stay down. Mickey even tells him that he should stay down. And he just keeps letting him get hit in the head, which is not great for anyone in sports, in the world of sports. They do make it a plot point later on, but yeah.
Before that, I just want to mention that it's like, he's got his great little scene with Adrian, but right shortly before, when he talks about that, it doesn't really matter if I lose the fight, and all he wants to do is go the distance. That nobody's done that with Creed. Creed always knocks people out before it would get to the end. And so that's his only goal with this fight. His main goal in life is Adrian.
He is a soft boy, right? Like he gets vulnerable with her, and it's like, I'm a nobody. Like he's racked with self-doubt, and he goes to the arena to look at it. And he's even told, just like, give a good show, like everyone thinks he'll go down in 3 rounds. And so, he allows himself to sort of like find his person and confess and open up himself in a way that I think that's what he's wanted. He's wanted to find someone to do this with. And that's sort of who Rocky is. Like the counterpoint to his violence in the ring is this.
But it's just so interesting because, in no way is he ever saying, what if I became world champ?
No.
It's never realistic. He never thinks that's possible. The movie doesn't posit it as something that's probably going to happen, even as he gets, even as we get great training montage, a famous training montage, and he's clearly improving. It's just like, can I stay in the ring with this guy instead of embarrassing myself? That's, just the main thing here. That he will accomplish in this film.
And Apollo plays it up like a big wrestling thing with his entrance. He's even got like a Master of Disaster nickname, and he's got a streak that would humble the Undertaker. He's got like a 46 fight win streak, and he just gets sobered really quickly with getting knocked down, and realizes that he is actually going to have to work to not lose his title. Like
right. He will actually have to fight. And look, as we go through this series, Matt, I don't believe you've watched many actual boxing. I know I haven't.
No.
And I know this series, especially as it goes on, especially around the 3rd and the 4th one, it's very easy to be like, hey, in real life, people aren't getting headshots this much, and this would probably kill everyone.
It's way less of like there's more blocking and dodging and evading and stuff than actually punching each other in the face. It gets a little more souped up cinematic wise, right? Like
you're right, which is just to say, hey, we're acknowledging that, but to say cinematically, this works great from the beginning. It's like
it becomes more like an actual movie fight in a superhero movie as it goes on.
A strange thing, by the way, is I think maybe the only boxing fight I've ever watched, certainly down in only 3 I've met watch randomly for whatever reason. I was staying at my sister's and HBO, I was flipping around channels, and I think it was HBO, if not Showtime, who would have the big boxing back then. And I happened to watch Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas, which is a very famous, crazy moment of someone who's one of the greatest boxers ever losing to a kind of nobody, to a guy who, and Mike Tyson, not going in prepared and, not at his best and losing in an insane moment from a guy who would turn out not to be an all-time great boxer, but just this like fluke thing. So it is funny. I did think about that watching this, even though Rocky doesn't get the knockout and win.
So much so that in the Fast and Furious franchise, being called a buster is not a good thing.
Right. That's right. But I did see
that's not the reason why.
That is not.
I was just pointing it out. It wasn't because you're Buster Douglas.
As a kid, Cut Me Mick and them slicing him open made a big impact on me. I thought that was pretty crazy when I saw it the first time.
Yeah, if you're a kid and you don't know how boxing works, you're like,
Cut Man's. That's
best cut man in the business.
Best cut man in the business.
Cut Man's my favorite Spider-Man villain. Or my favorite, I should say, I guess Mega Man villain at this point, Cut Man.
That's true. Oh, and then there's a great as the fight goes on and has now Apollo realizes this is serious and Rocky is getting further into it. I did like the sort of parallel moment when Duke wants to throw in the towel and Mickey's concerned, and we cut from Apollo saying to Duke, "You ain't stopping nothing, man," and Rocky saying, "You stop this fight, I'll kill you," to be like, they are now on the same ground. Like, neither of them wants this to stop. They are both going to take this as far as they can go.
Right. And it's fun because Rocky has kind of always been there.
Yeah.
And so the arc in this match is Apollo, which is like his competitive side comes out, his fighter. And the reason why you understand how he became champion, right? Like this is the actual Apollo fighter coming through at this point, not the one who's sort of like rich and pampered and sort of maybe as, overconfident. This is the hungry Apollo that of we assume yesteryear, right?
Yeah, it's funny because I don't like to say too much about movies to come just in case people haven't seen all these. I will say a little bit here though. It is because Apollo is such a smaller role here, than the others. It is funny to see that is his little mini arc. It's just done in a subtle way, which I think works. It's just funny. There might be some future sequels in the series that center that plot line for other characters a little more.
No, you're right.
The idea of ahead,
for sure.
Resting on your laurels and maybe not taking things as seriously as you should. Everyone, I noticed that all 4, I say 4 because again, Carl Weathers just doesn't have the same screen time, but because the 4 leads all got Oscar nominations for this movie. Meredith, Young, Talia Shire, and Stallone all got.
Talia Shire, who had a huge 70s, right, with the Godfather.
With the Godfather movies and this. Yeah, everything was coming up. Talia.
She's a Coppola, right?
Yep. She is part of that family. But and then of course that the fact that the way it ends, like they go the distance, that it ends because the bell rings and it's over.
Well, and Apollo wins by decision. There was like a split. There was like a tie, and then the final judge rules for Apollo. So, which
is purposely, it's like again, because Rocky, doesn't expect to be champ. He's not going to be champ. It's like we don't even hear that clearly. It's like
not
you
really.
Can hear
it's
it if you listen,
over,
because he's screaming for Adrian. All he cares about is Adrian. But I also wanted to mention that when the bell rings, Apollo saying ain't gonna be no rematch, and Rocky saying don't want one. Which is
boy, do they not know what's coming.
They don't know what's coming, but also because again, like we talk a lot about, there's a lot of movie series where you're like, hey, the first stands on its own. I think this is an epitome of that because it feels, it's the best one, but also because it's such a different movie, such a different animal of a movie. So if there was never another Rocky movie, it's like, yeah, of course, Rocky's like, I'm not going to try to fight you again.
The other big franchise that Stallone would give birth to in the 80s, which is like another one that with
started.
a very different first movie compared
Yep.
to the movies that came after it, which is the Rambo series. So
Yeah, like these much more like character-driven things that turn in bombastic.
it just turned into superhero movies pretty much. So
Yes.
all right, gotta fly now. To quote the song, and I guess Penguin from Batman Returns.
Yes.
And we'll be going through all the Rocky movies. I hope you enjoyed our Rocky
Although
recap.
eat lightning and crap thunder is what the Penguin says in this movie.
That's true, and he does by the end. That was in the post credits, right? When he's eating the lightning and crapping the thunder.
Well, we promised.
It's like, Adrian, I'm crapping thunder.
But no, yeah, great. I mean, great movie. The ending of him yelling for her or them embracing in the ring.
He's so gross. And she's kissing him, and I'm like,
no. Get used to it, Adrian. It'll be a lot more gross Rocky to kiss.
So gross. All right. Everything is possible, but nothing is.
Wait.
Oh, what?
The only thing I wanted to
happening?
The only thing you put it in the notes, but thank you to I'm forgetting who, but one of our kind listeners.
In the Twitter.
That miraculously, maybe they listened to us. I don't think so. Netflix put Rocky 1 through 5 on this month. On January 1st, Rocky 1 through 5 were added to Netflix.
Good point. Let me pull up the guy's name.
So became much easier to watch those if you have Netflix. Although I also want to mention someone else tweeted to me, and I'm sorry I'm forgetting everyone's name right now, had mentioned something that I actually did know I was going to mention to you, Matt, which is the Rocky 1 through 6 Blu-ray set is very affordable if you have a Blu-ray player on Amazon right now. It's $30 anyway, full price, but it's on sale right now for $23. I got it for $21 a couple weeks ago, but I did check. So that's another way to get those relatively cheap. But if you have Netflix, 1 through 5 are on there now. So that's all I want to say.
I'm looking for it.
That's okay. Look, we thank you. That's the important thing.
We thank you, Twitter listener.
Yes, we definitely do.
Okay. Now, until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And Shockma.
I do this for 5 minutes.
Shockma.